Is the home market about to go down like a house of cards? Well, it's complicated. In popular areas where home prices went up by 20–30% every year, the answer is probably yes. This is why prices in Idaho are so high. Arizona and Nevada have both lost a lot of value over the past year. But for every overpriced western state, there is a less well-known state with more reasonable homes and steady growth. Due to low inventory and long-term price stability, the following states are unlikely to have a housing crash anytime soon. This makes them the best places to buy a home in 2024, whether you're a first-time buyer, a retiree, or an investor looking for a low-risk rental. Number 10, North Dakota. Even though North Dakota is known as flat and cold, it was the state with the most growth from 2010 to 2015. This was mostly caused by the oil boom, which led to a huge rise in home values and new construction. However, when the price of oil dropped in 2016, so did the demand for homes, which led to an oversupply of homes and flat prices. This means that North Dakota has already had its housing correction, which is why the median home price is still only $251,000, and it's a safe place to buy. Fargo has a great tech scene, almost no traffic, and bills for groceries, utilities, healthcare, and cars are lower than average. It may not be the most exciting state, but if you want to live in a small town with friendly people or own some land within a 20-minute drive of a city, the Peace Garden State is a great place to buy a home and a great place to live. The state has a great economy, a lot of cash on hand, and very little population growth. Nebraska's housing market is like the Appalachian Mountains, not the most beautiful but safe and not going anywhere. But wait until our population booms, which is good for home prices in the short term and home appreciation in hot markets. Prices lead to a rush to build homes, and when wages can't keep up, people can't afford to do so. All of a sudden, there is way more supply than desire on the market. Number 9, Nebraska's lack of popularity is actually a good thing, because during a correction, towns and states with slow growth and low inventory levels are the ones that survive. During the last slump, the GDP of the Cornhusker state went up. It's very safe, has great schools and infrastructure, and has the lowest unemployment rate. The median home price is still only $255,000, and the state's first-time home buyer program makes it even more affordable by lowering interest rates and giving a $5,000 grant for a down payment that doesn't have to be paid back. Number 8, Wisconsin is known for a lot of things like education, healthcare, fairs, football, and of course cheese. Dairy is especially well known. But even if you're not a cheese expert, you can still enjoy dairy. Wisconsin is a great place to buy a home because it's affordable, beautiful, and a great place to live. It's also home to some of the best cities for cash-flowing rental properties. For example, the median home price in Milwaukee is just $195,000, and the average mortgage is cheaper than renting. While Madison is a bit more expensive, Wisconsin's beautiful countryside is a great place to live. Active inventory levels across the state are only 1/4 of what they were 6 years ago, which is a good sign for future home value growth. The Door Peninsula, with its charming small towns, cherry orchards, and beaches, is a true hidden gem. Number 7. South Dakota. Remember that quiet kid in class who turned out to be a genius? Well, if the states were students, South Dakota would be that kid. Because while it's seldom talked about, the Mount Rushmore state is jaw-dropping and routinely one of the most moved to and fastest-growing states. But from here to there, didn't you just say, hot markets are in a good place to buy a home? Make up your mind already. Well, normally. Yes, but South Dakota is the exception. And while the statewide median home price has increased by 40 in the past 3 years, that's not nearly as unsustainable as states like Idaho or Arizona, where home prices exploded by over 30% annually, especially since South Dakota is also the most long-term fiscally stable state, with a 1.9% unemployment rate and a booming diverse economy, particularly in Sioux Falls, where the median income is $76,000. Now home builders have caught on to the state's popularity in recent years, with inventory levels on the rise, but the statewide median home price is still just $296,000. Which, combined with no state income tax and very cheap utility bills due to an abundance of wind and hydropower, means the average South Dakotan is living comfortably. Number 6, even though Connecticut's population will go down from 2010 to 2020, the state has seen some sneaky growth over the past few years. While other housing markets have shot up like a homeless student in Venice Beach, Connecticut home values are still trying to catch up to their 2007 highs, and investors are starting to realize how undervalued the state is. Connecticut's home prices went up the least of any state in the 2010s, and the median home price in its capital, Hartford, is still only $170,000. Since there isn't much new construction and there aren't many homes for sale, Hartford has become the hottest real estate market in the country. Over the past year, prices have gone up by 18.9%. You might be wondering why so many people are investing in a city that looks like it's falling apart and whose downtown feels like a ghost town. Well, it's the cheapest city in the area, close to both Boston and New York, and it's still the insurance capital of the world. There are jobs, and Connecticut has the 8th highest median household income at $83,800. It's not the most interesting part of the Northeast, but the Constitution State is always one of the best places to live because there's almost no crime, the schools are great, and there's a lot of charm that people don't know about. The 5th, Wyoming. Unless you've been living without the internet for the past 6 months, you've probably heard that almost no one lives in Wyoming. In fact, Wyoming is the least populated state, with only about 581,000 people living there. Whether it's because of the lack of cities and services or the cold, windy winters, Wyoming is a place that only a certain type of person wants to live, but once they do, they don't want to leave. Now, it's true that most of the most beautiful parts of the state are expensive. For example, the median home price in Jackson Hole is $1.33 million, but the median home price across the state is only $338,000. This is pretty affordable, especially since there's no state income tax, low property taxes, and a great program for first-time home buyers that helps with down payments of up to $15,000. The 4th, Ohio. Are you starting to notice a trend? While the West and Sun Belt had their moment in the 2010s, the Midwest is making a comeback. As Ohio is literally the heart of the Rust Belt, it's become a hotspot for startups, young professionals, and artists. This is mostly due to its historically stable housing market, low prices, and abundance of hip cities with lots of art and culture. For the price of a few avocado toasts, you could buy a nice single-family home. But the typical home price in Dayton, Toledo, and Cleveland is still just over $100,000. No wonder there's a shortage of homes. It's not profitable to build new ones. But wait, there's more. Price-to-rent rates in Ohio are out of this world. Ohio is the best state for cash flow potential because it has landlord-friendly laws and 11.76 million people who need to live somewhere. Cincinnati and Columbus are a bit more expensive, with median home values around $240,000. But they are also some of the best mid-sized cities in the country, and likely even better markets to invest in because of their booming economies, historically low inventory, and high student populations who will always need a place to rent. Number 3, Vermont, also known as the Green Mountain State, has the second fewest people and the most expensive homes on this list, with a median home value of $380,000. So why is it the most popular state to move to every year? It's because once people visit Vermont's charming small towns and breathe in the freshest air in the country, they're hooked for life. And who could blame them? Vermont is the 3rd safest state and has the 4th best public schools. Burlington has the best economic opportunities of any city in the country, with a median household income of $82,000 and a low unemployment rate of 1.4%. As of July 2023, there were only about 800 listings in the whole state, which is 1/10 of what there were 5 years ago. Since Vermont has only recently become more popular after the pandemic made it easier to work from home, there's likely still a lot of room for this market to grow, especially since the median home value has gone up by 5.9% in the last year. Number 2, most people don't know much about Iowa, but that's actually a good thing. Even though it's one of the best states to live in and has great job opportunities, the cost of living is cheap. In fact, it was just named the most affordable state to buy a home based on price-to-income ratios. Since the median home value of $211,500 didn't skyrocket in the 2010s, houses have continued to appreciate by 6.3% over the past year. If you don't like farming or find it interesting to watch soy grow, there may not be much to do in Iowa. However, The state is designed to be safe and stable financially, and the public schools are good. Iowa has great health care and infrastructure, and its people are some of the nicest and most down-to-earth you'll ever meet. Number 1, Kansas. I bet you didn't see this one coming. For the first time in likely ever, Kansas is number 1 on a list, and it's not the most boring states. While Kansas doesn't even have the cool Kansas City, it is home to a decent quality of life and the fastest growing home prices with 9.2% appreciation over the past 12 months. And this likely will only continue as there's great housing price stability, low unemployment and poverty, and barely in any active listings. Not to mention, it's incredibly affordable. The median home price is still just $215,000, and that number is even cheaper in Wichita, which is one of the cheapest cities in the country.